All right, guys. Well, I applaud this next guest for joining me. He's joined me through some of the biggest wins of the year for his fighters and his team, and now he's kind enough to join me after a difficult night at UFC 323 from the airport. John Wood, Syndicate MMA. A bittersweet time, right? It was a huge year for you guys, but then unfortunately, just didn't go your way yesterday at UFC 323.
Yeah, there's not much sweet to it. It's pretty bitter right now, but
There was some
it's
sweetness at the start of the year, and then we finished out on a little bitter.
no, man, and that's the thing is like we literally had, 10 and a half months of just amazing, just an amazing run. Like couldn't have done any better. And this last month has kind of really kind of kicked us in the butt. And it is what it is. That's the fight game, and you got to take the bad with the good and the good with the bad, and keep rolling. And there's no doubt for me that there's some adjustments we can be made and will be made, and that Merab will be back, and the whole team. Like I said, it kind of when it rains, it pours. And like I said, this last month has been a kind of a kick in the ass, but that's what kind of keeps you alive and keeps you going back to the drawing board and figuring out, hey, what can I do better as a coach? What can we do better as a team? And because there's always something that you can figure out to do better.
Mm. What's been happening over the past month? What can you share?
I mean, just obviously, like I think we lost. In the first 10 months of the year, I think we lost like 6 fights out of like 70 something fights.
Mm.
So my thought is, as a coach, I'm always trying to reflect to figure out what's gone on, what am I done, what am I doing, or what can be done better, or what's been doing wrong, and maybe the only thing I've come up with, is obviously I got to go back to my team when I get back in town and talk to them. But is maybe we let the foot off the gas a little bit. Maybe you get to one of those things where it's oh man, we're just winning so much that you become complacent. I don't know. It's all pretty fresh right now, so it's just one of those things that take some time to reflect, and then obviously with Marab, go back and talk to him after he gets takes a few days off, and it's been a hell of a run, man. And these are the things that happen when you're chasing greatness. That's something that Rob is doing, and I believe he achieved it. Even with the loss, it was a hell of a fight, and I think truthfully we go back and get that one back, and but yeah, hell of a crazy year, man.
Dude, it's my favorite fight of the year. It's one of my favorite title fights that I've seen in the UFC. It was an absolute battle. Merab showed pure heart and determination when others wouldn't have been able to do it. And again, he dared to be great and fight so frequently. But let's just start it here. What went wrong against Petr Yan, in your opinion?
Honestly, dude, like I haven't had time to really sit back and even watch it yet. I was straight to the airport. Um, Take a couple days. I got to take care of a couple things, and then over the next few days, I'll watch it and kind of rewatch it. But there's a couple things that I know that we could have adjusted and done better with. But really, until I go back and talk to Marab and watch the fight back, I don't want to make any statements. It's all super emotional, and it, it's definitely a tough pill to swallow, but that's part of the game, and you have, like I said, you have to take the ups and the downs. I never want to be a guy that just is oh, we're winning, so everything's great. Like the other half of the fight game is the fact that you're going to get your ass kicked sometimes, and that's what's going to happen. So you got to embrace that part too, because unfortunately that is part of it. But
Mm.
Peter just came out, really good game plan, obviously improved some things, and without talking to Marab, I don't want to make too many statements or say anything about really anything until like I said, I speak to him first. But there's definitely some things that I think that we could do better, and some things where we missed the mark.
Mm. Just from my perspective, watching it on TV, obviously one of the things that I noticed was, Merab wasn't able to establish that takedown threat early. Petr Yan's wrestling was incredible. What was your reaction when you saw the fact that Yan was actually able to get him down, He was able to get, I think, 3 takedowns in this fight, and he was able to survive scramble and sort of stop those takedowns against Merab. We haven't really seen anyone be able to do it like that.
Yeah, Peter is one of the best in the world, and currently is the best in the world. Um, and so he comes in ready to go. Like I said, they were trained very 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 well. He was trained very well. They came up with a great game plan. Obviously, everybody knows that Merab is looking to put that kind of pressure on you,
Mm,
and that's a big part of the game plan. There's some things I think that we, like I said, we missed the mark on, and some things that I think we can get back to. A couple little things that we need to get back to doing a little bit better. But hats off to Peter and his team. They came in ready to go. And it just, like I said, it was impressive for him. For what he where he improved upon in the first fight to the second fight. And that's what champions do, and that's what great fighters do, is you make adjustments. And now
mm.
it's our job to go back and make adjustments to try to make that, to get that one back. And I firmly believe that we can.
He used the peekaboo style. He had the hands up. He was using his jab a lot, throwing the 2. I know you kept mentioning body shots. Is that one of the areas that you feel like you guys didn't really utilize? Piotr's body was quite open throughout the fight. Do you feel like there was some water to be put in the
Yeah,
basement throughout the fight?
yeah. That's become a big part of Rob's game. And again, until I go back and talk to him, I don't want to make any statements of. You never know
Yeah.
what a fighter's feeling out there. You never know what a fighter's seeing. Ultimately, I'm just there to kind of fill in the blanks and give some information. But that is a part of the camp that we did work on, and it's something that has really really paid dividends from Rob in the last few fights and really in the camp. And that was something that I thought we could have capitalized on, but ultimately, again, if Rob's not feeling, or any fighter's not feeling what is in front of them, or what I'm seeing and what they're seeing, like, we've got to kind of pivot and go to the next thing. So until I talk to him, I don't know what that was going on, but that was a part of the game plan, and it was a part of something that I thought we could have maybe capitalized a little bit more. But again, I'm not the guy out there fighting. Fighting's hard. There's another guy in front of you that's literally trying to stop you from doing everything you're doing, trying to beat the shit out of you. So it changes things.
It's easier said than done, right? Watching it and
Yeah,
then doing
just
it.
a little bit.
And this is the most dangerous Petr Yan we've ever seen.
Sure.
Let me ask you this: there are people that are going to be out there. They're going to be sort of asking, what was going on in the corner when you were mentioning. I missed it, but did you tell Merab that he was up a few rounds? Tell me in the corner in between the rounds, because I know I've noticed there was some comments around that
Yeah,
about.
listen, I don't know. Like, I thought that I'd have to go back, and this might be like a fail on my part. Of I'm usually pretty um, objective, and like I'm very aware of kind of what where the way the fight's directed. But
Mm,
I think but again, I haven't gone back and watched it yet. But again, I think that maybe for me, I wasn't taking the damage into consideration. I think that like the one thing I can say, maybe I got caught up in the fact that I know Rob, and that he wasn't hurting some of those things and those cuts and the blood and the stuff. So like I do remember, and I do recall thinking that I thought we had 1 and 2, and I know 3 was close. I would give 4, 4 and 5 to him, hands down. I have to go back and rewatch it, but I did see that, and everybody, obviously sees a different perspective on their couch watching it, and that's everybody's prerogative. That's what we put ourselves out there to be judged, and we put ourselves out there, and people are going to have their opinions, and that's totally okay. And if I screwed up or I did something wrong, then I said I go back and I'll fix it. But I have to go back with the team and kind of look at it and break that down. But I do remember thinking, that we were. I know everything was close, and it was a lot closer than I expected it or thought it would be. But I just don't know. Like I said,
mm.
it's all been kind of a crazy go. But I did see some of that shit. So who knows? Maybe I did, screw up a little bit on that one. I'm not sure.
Dude, don't worry about it. This is the game, right? Like, these things happen, and sometimes you're the best, and then everyone just starts shitting on you for no reason. Like, it's
Oh
just a
yeah,
part of the
listen,
sport sometimes, you know, like,
eh, that's part of it. MMA is a fickle sport.
Mm,
Fans are very fickle, and that's okay, and that's their prerogative. And I respect everybody's opinion. You can shit on me and tell me I'm the worst coach that ever was, and that's okay. Whatever your opinion is, no problem.
mm.
Yesterday I was great. Today maybe I'm not great. Tomorrow I'll be great again. Maybe I won't be. I respect everybody's personal opinions to do and say whatever you want, and that's okay. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't really care.
Well, I appreciate you doing this interview as well, because most people wouldn't. I really appreciate the time. Just quickly on the fight itself, I know there's going to be people out there who feel like maybe Merab overlooked Petr Yan. Just from your perspective, was there anything from when, as you were preparing for Petr Yan, that surprised you, or what's your reaction to people saying that maybe you guys overlooked Petr Yan looking into this fight and underestimated him?
No, I don't think there was any overlooking at all. Again, I think I have some of my opinions that I, would gladly share after I speak to Merab. I'm
Hmm.
not going to speak for him or put anything out there, but you know, 4 fights in a year at that magnitude with those weight cuts and everything, it's a lot. It's a lot, and I don't think anything. It would be disrespectful to Peter and his team to say we overlooked him because the work was done, and we trained for him and we trained very, very hard. There was nothing different. I do think there's some things, like I said, that played into the factor of maybe it looked that way, but there was definitely, I can say, as a coach, and as a fighter, with Rob, there was no overlooking that man. Everybody knows how dangerous Peter is, and that, like I said, that would be disrespectful to him and his team to say that or even think that. Marab is not a guy that takes people lightly. I'm not a coach that takes people lightly. That every fight that you fight at that top is you're fighting the next best, most dangerous fighter in the world. So that's stupid if you would play that. But I do think there's a lot of things that that factored into the fact that um, you know maybe we'll do a little bit different next time. And obviously, like I said, 4 fights, 4 title fights in a year is a lot. It's a lot, and not even the title fights. I don't think that part's as hard as the weight cuts. So we'll get back to the drawing board. And like I said, after I talk to Marab and kind of see how he felt about everything. I don't want to make too many statements on any shit until that.
Mm. Was this, from what you were seeing, was this weight cut much different to the other ones this year? Like, did it noticeably look like it took a bit more out of him? 4 times in a year, it's crazy.
Again, all I'm gonna say is it was a lot. This
Okay.
camp was it was a lot. It was a lot. There was a lot. There was a lot going on. I'm not gonna speak from Rob, and and I'll never go out there and say make excuses for him. That's up to him, and But I will say, as a coach, it was a lot. It was a lot for all of us. Definitely a lot for him, and he's been on the record multiple times saying that weight cutting is not his favorite part of the game. So it was it was a lot. That's all I'll say.
He still did the 5 rounds as well on the day of the fight. You think those days are behind us now?
No, no.
Okay.
I think that we've learned some lessons on this one for sure. I think that there's a lot to be learned from this. And again, if you dare to be great, sometimes you're going to come up short, and that's what that man has done. And I do believe he is great, and I do believe he'll continue to be great, and I do believe that he will get that title back. And I do think that, like I said, there's sometimes you take risks. And if you were to ask him if he would do it again, I believe he would. I really do. I don't think that Marab is a guy, and I've said this before and I've said it again, he is the path of most resistance guy. He's the guy that would go through a wall. He'll run headfirst through a brick wall to get what he wants, to prove a point. And I think that not a lot needs to be adjusted or done differently. Um, how we go about it in the process, like I said, again, it's been a long year, and there was a lot of things that went into this, and it was Peter's night, and it was a little off night for us, and that's that. We'll go
Mm.
back and we'll fix it.
You don't have to answer this question, but I got to ask you anyway. In terms of health, were you guys 100% going in? and you don't have to answer this, but people are going to kill me if I don't ask the question. Were you 100% going into this fight?
One, I don't think any fighter is 100% going into any fight. Two, I am not gonna, like I said, speak about that. That is up to Merab to talk about. And even if he wasn't, or it was, or he's never going to make excuses, and I won't make excuses for him.
Okay.
That's not my job. And everybody who signs up for a fight, whether you decide to step in there injured or not injured, that's what you decided to do. So I think that you know, a lot of things again we can learn, and we will probably do a little bit different moving forward. But yeah, that's a Merab question.
Okay. There's moments in the fight where Merab showed real grit and determination. At one point, Petr Yan kicks him in the ribs, right, or in the
Mm.
liver, and he just yells at him and grits through it. I know that you guys lost, but at the same time, you can take some stuff away from this gritty performance from Merab, right? Like, what's your reaction to him putting it all out there in the octagon, even though it wasn't going his way in those situations where he was yelling at Petr when he got kicked in the liver, when he was hanging in there, when Petr was landing those shots on him, when he was pushing forward, when things weren't going his way. I mean, it's such a showcase of heart and determination at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think anybody has. I think some of those shots that would have been landed to the body would have dropped and stopped a lot of people. And I think that Rob is just built different. And his sure determination and willpower, is what gets him through those situations, gets him through tough camps, gets him through injuries, gets him through certain things. The man just has no quit. I've seen things that he's done and gone through that have blown my mind inside the room, going into fights, knowing certain things where he just pushes, and like I said, his mental fortitude and mindset is unlike anybody else's. And I think there's a lot of, like I said, a lot of people would have fallen to that, to those strikes and some of the things that Petr was doing. But Merab is not that guy. He is getting better. I do think there's some things that we go back to the drawing board and change up and tweak a couple little things. Um, but yeah, man, it was Merab is he really is a machine. He really is a champion. I believe he'll be champion again. But that's the fight game, and there's going to be things that hit you that hurt. There's going to be things that happen in fights that you don't want to happen, and it really is the mindset, the mental spot that you have to keep pushing through if you want to be on top of the heap, like these guys are. And Rob, I think, is like, he's a special dude, and most people won't ever know how special, and would be blown away if they knew behind the scenes stuff and the things that go on and the things that have happened, which no one ever will know about, because, like I said, he's a humble guy and he's a true champion, and he doesn't talk about things. He'll give all the kudos to Petr, and like I said, we'll come back stronger. And if this fight showed anything, it was one hell of a fight. Again, I haven't watched it back, but I've heard nothing but that it was an amazing fight, and I think that Merab is one of the toughest SOBs ever to walk into a cage.
Mm. It's obviously not a win, but a part of you must be really, really proud of Merab, even more so than some of the fights that you've won. For him to be able to hang in there and get through that and show that kind of heart from a coach's perspective.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, like, I'm so proud of that dude, from where he's come and how much he's grown as a fighter, how much he continues to grow, and how much he will continue to grow. I've got to, like I said, make some changes and do some things too that to help him get there. My job is always to look at ways to make things easier, make things better, do things better, for him and for any of my fighters. And that's something, like I said, I got to sit back and kind of reevaluate some things. But I'm super proud of him, and he's a living legend. He's going to go down in the history books as one of the greatest, and I don't think he's anywhere close to being done. And I don't think this will be the only. Again, I truly do believe he'll have that title back around his waist at some point. But Yeah, man. You know, the only thing you can really ask for as a coach is to have somebody do the work in the room, do the work, on the mats, the blood, the sweat, the tears, the grind, and then go out there and perform like that. Win, lose, or draw. Obviously we always want the win, but again, it's the fight game, and you can do everything perfect in the fight game and still lose in a terrible fashion. It's just that's the great thing, and the terrible thing about MMA is that it really is unforgiving, but that's what makes the sport so great.
Hey guys, before the interview continues, I just want to thank my sponsors for making the show possible. I'm going to keep it quick, but I want you guys to please support these guys. I've got the Manscaped, of course. Manscaped Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is your go-to. But of course, they've got your performance package where you could jump on right now and check out, which makes the perfect gift this holiday season. So jump on to manscaped.com. Check out all the great products, including the performance package, the beard hedger, the weed whacker, and of course the lawnmower, and get sorted for this festive holiday season thanks to Manscaped. And don't forget, you get 15% off and free shipping thanks to Manscaped now. That's 15% off and free shipping thanks to Manscaped now. Please support the guys because they support the show, and get the perfect Christmas gift right now. Also want to shout out NordVPN that are giving you guys 4 free months in their 2-year plan. You could click the link below. NordVPN will make sure that you guys are secured and sorted for the best VPN out there. They have the best app out there. Get cheaper flights, better deals on rental cars, and have access to videos and streaming services and sports all around the world at the click of your fingertips. Simply change your geolocation to another country and get the discounts. That includes cheaper signups for things like NBA League Pass and all sorts of other things. NordVPN has you sorted. Click the link below and get the best VPN out there today. That's nordvpn.com/submission. Click that now and get that 4 months free on the 2-year plan. You won't regret it. Best VPN in the game. And if you guys are traveling this holiday season, please jump on Saily right now. It is the best eSIM that you can use, that you could find. Saily is actually owned by NordVPN, so it has all the threat protection features that you love from NordVPN, but it gives you access to using your phone wherever you are in the world. Simply update it and add credits as you go. No need for new SIM cards lining up in airports or having Wi-Fi's steal all your personal information. Saily.com/submission. Go there right now. If you guys are traveling, that is your go-to place for your eSIM wherever you go in the world. Stay connected on your phone thanks to Saily and get 15% off with the code submission. So jump on right now. Try it today. You're not going to regret it. And trust me when I tell you, avoid those additional SIM cards. Avoid those public Wi-Fi. Saily has you sorted. And now, boom, boom, it's back to the program. So the division is in a weird spot right now. I got to ask, because people have been sort of discussing it, but have you guys thought about this scenario that Merab might not actually get this rematch? Obviously, I'd love to see him get the rematch, but we got Sean O'Malley fighting. We all know the UFC loves to push Sean O'Malley. You've got Umar fighting. We all know, Umar is also up to the top of the division. Are there any concerns that the next fight may not be for the belt for you guys?
I mean, listen, I've stated this multiple times. The UFC is going to do what the UFC sees fit and what they feel is best for their business, and they're the best in the business at doing it. So whatever they decide is up to them. Of course, there's paths. Of course, there's visions and ways that we don't get the next title shot. Do I think that that's going to happen? Mm, I would lean to the fact that we probably will get it, but who knows? Who knows if like, there's so many factors that come into play here. But do I think that Merab deserves it? Of course. Um, Obviously, time, injuries, things play. There's a lot of factors that come into it of how this plays out. Um, but of course, there's multiple ways. The UFC has their favorites. The UFC has people that they want to push and that they love. And Sean O'Malley is one of those guys. Sean O'Malley's always one win away from a title shot, no matter how far down in the rankings. He could be unranked, go out there and knock somebody out, and get a title shot, probably. And that's great, good for him. He's marketed himself well, and he's a great fighter. And in the UFC, there's nothing wrong with being, a favorite of the UFC. That's what everybody should want to be. So do I see that there's a way that happens, that we don't get the immediate reshot? Of course. Do I think we should? Yes. Do I think we will? More than likely, but who knows?
Mm. And by the way, I know you mentioned it was a difficult month for you. But the other fight, of course, Weili, of course, didn't go as planned in New York as well. And with that fight, you would have had a second to look back on. Valentina Shevchenko, though, another one of the greatest of all time. You know,
Yes.
no shame in losing to her. You guys, you know, dared to be great, moved up, you know, tried to fight it, didn't go your way. But now that you've had a chance to digest that fight, would it be safe to say that, you know, Weili's probably going to move back down and get back in there? Or do you still think there's a chance she might hang around and still have a crack at that higher division?
I don't know. Again, I, haven't spoke to her on that matter yet. Letting some time go on. I'm not sure what she would want to do, and I don't want to speak for her.
Yeah.
My gut would tell me that she'll probably go back down, and
Mm.
obviously, uh, Shevchenko is so good at what she does.
She's so good. Yeah. So,
She's
so
so
good.
good at the things that she does. She's the best in the world at those things that she does. And it's so hard to stop her from doing that. And when you have two equally skilled, fighters that are the best in the world, sometimes the bigger, stronger fighter is just gonna get it done, and I think that's a fact of what happened, and not knocking, not no disrespect, like I said, to Valentina, man, she's the best in the world, the best female probably to ever do it, especially at that weight class. And it's impressive, and so Weili will bounce back. She is the proverbial champion. I think that she can go back down to 115 if she so chooses, and take that title back and have her reign again there. It's just like anything, man. The older you get, the longer you do the sport, these weight cuts suck. It's the
Mm.
stupidest thing in the world. Cutting weight is literally the dumbest thing. It's the dumbest thing that you could do before any athletic performance, let alone getting into a cage with another human that wants to knock you out. But it's part of it. It is part of our sport. It's part of it. Um, and yeah, like, I understand people wanting to move up because whether it's 2 pounds or 20 pounds, weight cuts suck, man. They just take everything out of you.
Yeah, and you know, weight cuts have a long-lasting effect on you. I was speaking to RDR just a couple of weeks ago, and he's still trying to figure out the impact of the weight cut on his body. So it can take a lasting effect. But hey, that Mackenzie Dern fight, man, Mackenzie Dern and Weili, that's not a bad little fight to move back down to, right?
That'd be great.
How excited would you be about making if that's next for Weili? That would be a pretty cool one to come back for.
Oh yeah, no, that'd be great. I think, it just adds to her legend. Like I said, she's already also a living legend in the sport. She's somebody that um, really you know, embraces the sport, embraces being a champion, embraces the work, the ethic, everything that comes with it. There's a reason, like I said, why she's one of the best in the world. And I would love to see her, go back down and take that title and fight as long as she wants to, and until she wants to retire. It's it's always tough moving divisions. Going up obviously is tricky. Going down is even trickier. So it really just kind of depends on what she wants to do. But I mean, she's already said, like, said she's secured her legacy. So whatever she wants to do, I know she's going to do it, and she's going to do it really good. So I would love to see that fight. I would love to see her go back down and take a crack at that title again with Mackenzie. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that'd be huge. All right, man. Well, I'll let you go. I know you're at the airport. Have a safe trip home, and I appreciate you shedding some light and spending some time with us, man. We'll have a chat later when you get a chance to sort of chat to Merab, and I'm sure there'll be next big things coming up around the corner. But again, man, you've had an incredible year. There's ups and downs at Elite
Mm.
MMA, but regardless, man, congratulations on an incredible year, and I've really enjoyed watching you and your team do your thing. It's been really, really cool.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. And there's no doubt we'll get back in the win column here.